Thanks a lot, Anjali. Good afternoon and welcome to the Business Today market closing show where you get all the closing action. First up, let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and the financial world. Stock markets slip in the red after Commerce Ministry sources deny any trade talks with the US this week. Markets had risen after US Ambassador to India, Sergio Gore, hinted at fresh talks yesterday. The Sensex has now slipped over 300 points near 83,600 odd levels. The Nifty is also down by 70 odd points at 25,700 mark, led by losses in pharma, real estate and consumer durables. Gig workers get major relief as Blinkit drops 10-minute delivery promise after Labour Ministry intervention. Sources also tell us QSR stocks like Zomato and Swiggy are in focus. Neville Tata's son Neville Tata likely to be inducted into the board of Sir Ratan Tata Trusts this week. With a board meeting scheduled on 17th of January, the 32-year-old Neville was inducted into the Sir Dorabji Tata Trust in November last year, marking his growing role within the trusts which control the Tata Sons Group. Bharat Coking Coal IPO is on its final day of bidding. The 1,071 crore rupees offer for sale, priced at 21 rupees to 23 rupees per share, has been subscribed over 100 times so far, while a firm in a grey market premium continues to point to strong investor interest and listing expectations. Bloomberg defers inclusion of Indian government bonds in its influential global aggregate index, citing operational and market infrastructure evaluation. The review remains open, with next steps expected by mid of 2026 amid broad support for eventual inclusion. Straight away on to this big breaking following the intervention of the Labour Ministry over the safety of delivery partners. Blinkit has now removed the 10-minute delivery claim from all its branded platforms in a huge relief for gig workers. For more on this, we are now joined by Himanshu Mishra, my colleague. Himanshu, क्या सामने आ रहा है खास तौर पर Blinkit के प्लेटफॉर्म से? अब ये जो 10 मिनट की डिलीवरी का क्लेम किया गया था, इसे अब हटाया जा रहा है और ये कहीं ना कहीं गिग वर्कर्स के लिए एक अच्छी बात है, एक रिलीफ की बात है।
देखिए बिल्कुल कहीं न कहीं जो डिलीवरी बॉय थे, गिग वर्कर्स थे, उनके लिए ये एक रिलीफ की बात है और सबसे बड़ी बात ये है कि 10 मिनट का जो टैगलाइन था, जो स्लोगन था, उसको डिलीवरी करना 10 मिनट में कहीं न कहीं जो डिलीवरी बॉय हैं, उनके लिए ऊपर एक प्रेशर के तौर पर जो है वो काम करता रहा है और उससे जान-माल का नुकसान भी होता रहा है और इसी को सरकार ने ध्यान में रखा है और जब लेबर कोड के लागू हो गया है और उसके बाद सरकार को इस बात को लेकर सोचना पड़ा कि जिस तरीके से कई ऐसी घटनाएँ आई हैं कि प्रेशर के अंदर डिलीवरी बॉय जो है वो डिलीवर करने के लिए प्रेशर में रहते थे और 10 मिनट में प्रेशर के अंदर कई बार जो है एक्सीडेंटल चीजें देखने को मिली और इसीलिए जो है श्रम मंत्री जो है मनसुख मांडविया उन्होंने सभी ई कॉमर्स साइट से बात की और उन्होंने कहा इस तरीके की टैगलाइन से जो है वो प्रेशर रहता है, इस प्रेशर को दूर करना चाहिए और 10 मिनट या 15 मिनट की जो भी टैगलाइन है इसको हटाइए और इसीलिए अगर आप देखेंगे तो ब्लिंकिट्स ने जो है 10,000 प्रोडक्ट जो है 10 मिनट में डिलीवर इसको हटा के अब 30,000 प्रोडक्ट आपके द्वार कर दिया है। तो कहीं ना कहीं अब ई कॉमर्स साइट्स भी इस चीज को मान गई है क्योंकि सरकार का इंटरवेंशन हुआ है। जिस तरीके से पिछले कुछ समय में डिलीवरी बॉयज का जो एसोसिएशन है गिग वर्कर्स का, उन्होंने इस मामले को उठाया था कि उनके ऊपर एक दबाव रहता है और इसको सरकार ने जानने समझने के बाद जो है सभी कंपनियों से बातचीत की और कंपनियों ने भी आश्वासन दिया कि इस तरीके का जो टैगलाइन है इसको नहीं लगाएंगे और ब्लिंकिट्स ने इस टैगलाइन को अब चेंज भी कर लिया है।
शुक्रिया हिमांशु इन सभी अपडेट्स के लिए। सो राइट नाउ इफ यू लुक एट द स्टॉक्स ऑफ Zomato and Swiggy, the poster boys of the quick commerce delivery, they're actually rising in trade, with Zomato leading with 3.2% uptake. Of course, there was initial, MSCI weightage prompt also that really led to the stock, higher in trade. But even Swiggy is now up and about. Let's actually welcome our market expert of the day, Mr. Avinash Gorakshakar, is now joining in on this platform. Avinash ji, warm welcome to you. Good to have you with us. First up, a broad comment on this gig workers and the gig economy, the the debate that started in the last week of December. Finally, some relief coming in for all the gig workers who have been feeling a lot of pressurized because of this 10-minute delivery pressure. Finally, Blinkit has decided to remove that tag and that claim from its platforms. How are you looking at the gig economy and this entire debate of quick delivery?
I think, Sakshi, it's a good development because, on humanitarian grounds, I think, 10 minutes delivery involved a lot of risk for the gig workers. I think clearly, that would be a welcome relief for them because now I think markets would expect these kind of announcements after Blinkit to come in from players like Zomato, Swiggy, Zepto, a lot of other players, even Big Basket. So my sense is that the customers would now have to get tuned to the new cycle time. 10 minutes delivery may not happen, but I think they'll have to wait for a slightly longer period of time. But I think maybe for a few weeks, there could be some disruption in the consumption cycle, especially from the younger generation customers who are impulsive buyers. Somebody wants a pizza
Yeah.
in the night at 12 o'clock. So I know these kind of customers may be disappointed, but I think overall the cycle will continue. I think people are not going to stop ordering from Zomato or Swiggy. Business is going to continue as usual. Maybe for a couple of weeks there could be a slight disruption, but I think once things get back to normal, I think things will be properly as per routine. So this is definitely a welcome move for the gig workers because finally you cannot involve a major risk for the gig workers who actually deliver these products to the customer. So net a good move, but I think yes, in terms of the companies, we'll have to wait for their commentaries post the Q3 numbers.
Absolutely. Stay on with us. Avinash, we're looking to take, this breaking news that is important for all our viewers to see now. And this is with respect to the Basmati rice. Basmati rice prices have now fallen by 5 to 7 rupees per kilogram this week. And this is happening as the escalating unrest in Iran is disrupting trade and is delaying some payments. Remember, Donald Trump's 25% tariff comment on Iran trading partners has added some pressure on Basmati rice and the prices there. The Rice Exporters Federation has warned that prices can also decline even going further in the coming weeks amid the ongoing uncertainties. We also have a special guest joining me is Mr. Dev Garg, the Vice President of Indian Rice Exporters Federation. Welcome to you, sir, and good to have you with us. But this is an important aspect which we need clarity from you on. The Basmati rice prices have been falling over the last week. 5 to 7 rupees per kilogram is what we have already seen as a knee-jerk reaction. In case the situation continues as such, what is your anticipation on the prices of Basmati rice?
Look, we have to understand that where Iran stands.
Yeah.
Iran is a very, very important market for India.
Yes.
Iran is the second largest importer of Indian rice in the world. Last year, Iran imported $750 million worth of rice, approximately 850,000 metric tons, which is a very substantial quantity. And all the exports to Iran are primarily of Basmati rice. So we have seen a knee-jerk reaction, as you have stated, and in the coming days, if this situation continues, because as on today, the entire communication network between the importers and Iran and the exporters from India has broken down. The importers are not able to make the payments and they are not able to accept the delivery of the cargo. We have seen a huge stockpile of rice stocks at Bandar Abbas and Chahabar port in Iran. And also in India, at Mundra and Kandla port, we are seeing that a stock of more than 50,000 to 100,000 metric ton of basmati rice is lying idle. Now, if this situation persists, because as you know that we are seeing a bumper crop this year, India has become the largest producer of rice in the world with 150 million tons of production. We have surpassed even China. So this is a time where we need access to new markets. So a big dent in our second largest market is a major concern for us going forward. And if this situation persists, we can see that in the past when there was trouble in Iran during 2011, 2012 as well. And we had seen that the prices had fallen by more than 30 to 40% for Basmati. So if the situation persists, it could get much worse.
Absolutely. So, Mr. Garg, how are you looking at, have you looked at approaching the government yet with the current situations of the exporters? What is the current demand from the government at this point in time? Has there been any communication from the government to provide any kind of a relief from this emerging situation that all the exporters of rice are facing at this point?
The Federation has been speaking to various stakeholders, including government agencies, But as on the date, the situation in the very short term, the priority of the government is to ensure the safety and security of the persons who are based in Iran. Trade comes second. So once all that, the primary objectives or the priorities are settled, then the focus will shift to trade. But as on date, we have to, first wait and watch and see the impact on how the situation unfolds. Because we have seen such situation of crisis happen in Iran in the past as well. But Iranian importers have bounced back. They have made the payments and they have restarted the business. Even in countries like Syria and Yemen, where there was even a much worse situation where there was a civil war, we have seen that the rice trade has continued because food is something which finds its way, because food is what you need. So eventually food will have to be consumed. So we foresee that more likely than not, some solution will come and the long-term impact on the trade will be minimal. So any request or any policy interventions will only be decided once we have a clear picture in front of us that what is the exact impact on trade. So in the very short term, the only advisory that the Federation has issued is for exporters to be little cautious and not to overstretch their supply chains or not to take any aggressive stands while supplying rice to Iran, and be in a kind of a wait and watch and stealth and a bench mode. So we can see that what is the exact, how the situation is unfolding and how the trade can go forward.
Right. From the exporters' end, are you also issuing an advisory against over-leveraged positions that, exporters tend to take because they already anticipate huge demand? You already pointed out to a big production that has already taken place, a robust production at that, and looking at the demand situation out there, have they already had taken, extensive leveraged positions? Will they be at risk in that situation as well?
Look, Iran has been a major market, and more importantly, Iran is a credit-driven market. So most of the exports from India to Iran are on credit. So as on date, as per the estimates that we have received, about 2,000 crore rupees worth of payments which are due to Indian exporters are there in Iran, which is a very huge substantial amount for an agri trade. So if tomorrow there is a big issue or the situation doesn't come under control and this 2,000 crore rupees is stuck, so this will have a very major impact on the players who are exposed to it. Going forward, we have cautioned everyone not to take very huge risk with Iran, because Iranian market being subject to various sanctions also limits the ability of credit insurance companies and other stakeholders to minimize their risk. So most of the exports that happen to Iran are at stake, are staring at total loss if the situation doesn't come under control.
Absolutely. When we also try to understand on the payments front, how much of a delay do you expect there? 2,000 crore rupees odd worth of exports are lined up, you're saying. What is the risk on that factor, sir?
We have seen that Iranian markets usually, they make payments within 3 to 4 months. And usually if you see the pattern in the past, these payments have been delayed up to an year when crisis keeps on happening, because we have seen crisis in Iran in the past as well. But exporters, after the situation normalizes on ground, whether there is a regime change or not, that is more or less irrelevant for the trade, because the trade will go on. And whether it is one government or the other, food will have to be consumed and the work will go on. So it is just a wait and watch. I think so. It is too early to call. We will have to wait another 3 to 4 months to understand what the clear picture is. As a trade body, we do not see this situation going out of control. Whatever happens on the ground, we see that the situation may normalize in a few months and the payments will start coming in.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Garg, for being with us and explaining to us the current situation as is being faced by the exporters of Basmati rice. One of the most important markets for India in terms of Basmati rice exports is Iran. And as all of you know, the comments that came in from Donald Trump on 25% additional tariff to the countries which have trade with Iran might be able to face this. And this right now has escalated into a situation when the rice prices have already started to dip 5 to 7 rupees. But the situation may not go out of control. There is still, some kind of anticipation that things will resolve and fall into place over the next couple of days. Of course, all questions will be on, what is the kind of delays that exporters are facing as far as the payments are concerned. And the advisories are being issued by the Rice Exporters Federation at this point in time as well. We'll continue to get you all of those updates. But let me quickly go across to Avinash. Avinash, I think this broad talk about trade that continues to be the top talking point for the markets, and to watch it very, very closely, even in the new year, be it with respect to, again, Donald Trump's heightened expectations of, like, putting forward more penalization when it comes to tariffs, a 500% tariff want that he has with respect to Russia, and now coming in with Iran as well. How are you looking at all these export-oriented sectors for Indian investors, retail investors at this point in time? Do you think it's best to stay away from the export-oriented sectors?
No, I think specifically talking about rice exporting companies, Sakshi, it's better to stay away because
Okay.
the industry spokesman also said that currently there is complete chaos, and I think
Hmm.
prices have come down by 6-7%. And Iran is one of the largest importers of rice from India. So when this import duty of 25% does come in, then I think it's going to alter the pricing for most of the exporters. So I think for the near term, at least till some clarity comes from companies once they put out their Q3 numbers, we'll have to wait how managements react to this reality, how they correct the pricing. But I think in the very near term, there's going to be a lot of uncertainty. And another thing which is interesting, Sakshi, which is little offbeat, but I think tomorrow the US Supreme Court is going to give
Yeah.
the final order. So, Donald Trump has already tweeted that in case it doesn't happen, it's going to be a
Yeah.
big loss for America. So I think, markets would obviously look at that factor also. Tomorrow night, we'll be getting this news. And in all probability, the tariffs are going to be completely no from even the American people. So I think clearly to that extent there could be some welcome relief for our markets, because that means Mr. Donald Trump will have to think of something else to actually continue with his tariff regime.
Absolutely. Shifting focus to what is at hand, the big trigger point for the markets, and that's the earnings front. In an exclusive post Q3 results interaction business today, we've actually seen HCL Tech's top management saying the impact of the new labor code, however, will be minimal in the coming quarters, and they also remain confident of an uptrend in growth and then the margins also going forward from here. The company, remember, has reported a 4% Q-on-Q decline in the net profit due to this one-time labor code cost. But even as the Q3 revenue has risen by 6% and has beaten the estimates as well, FY26 growth guidance has also been raised. Let's actually listen into what the company's top management, the CFO Shiv Walia and Chief People's Officer Ram Sundarajan, had to say in the conversation in an excerpt. I think the big talking point this time around is on the impact of the new labor code and the impact of that has been seen on profitability, on margins as well. Could you elaborate on that impact as well and give us an understanding of whether this will be seen as a one-off for Q3? Will there be some impact that will be seen in Q4 and the subsequent quarters as well?
So far as the impact is concerned, I think we have already factored in whatever is the impact. It's all the accruals that we need to make for the past period, both in terms of gratuity and leave provisions and so forth, which we have taken. On an ongoing basis, we don't expect the impact to be anything significant.
Mr. Walia, I wanted to ask you on the revision on the guidance front, what are the factors that have led you to do the same?
We have a two quarter, consecutive quarters with strong performance, both on the services side and on the software side. Yes, we had a softer quarters Q1 and Q2, and this quarter is really did well. And on the back of that, we have a good booking quarter, 3 billion on the back of 2.5 billion plus booking we did in last quarter. So I think, yes, you can see the numbers we have delivered so far. So that's why we felt that maybe it's better to, it makes sense to increase the guidance for the full year. For the services, 4.75 to 5.25, and at an overall level, 4 to 4.5%.
Okay. Could you also give me a sense, Mr. Walia, I'll come to Mr. Sundarajan in a bit. I just wanted to also prod a little bit on the margin front and try to understand how long will it really take you to go back to the erstwhile 19% plus kind of margins? What are the factors that are still keeping the margins in this current band, and will we have to wait for some more quarters there?
Yeah. So if you take out the impact of restructuring cost, we had in this quarter. So 18.6%, that is around 19.4%, which is quite similar to last year, the margins we had. So that way, I think all I can say that, structurally, there is no issues with the margin, and we are quite confident as we get into the next year, and hopefully restructuring cost is also going to be behind us. So yeah, we will give the exact guidance, in April for the next year, but we feel confident about coming back to, our usual range of 18 to 19%.
Right, Avinash, what do you have to say on the earnings that have actually come in for these IT bellwethers, HCL Tech and TCS? Better than street estimates, but the impact of one time these labor code costs that they had to incur on profitability and margins. How do you see, the signals coming in from HCL Tech and TCS? How do we draw, from it for the entire IT sector numbers that could come in this time?
No, I think numbers have been in line. I think if you take out the extraordinary one-off items, I think numbers have been in line with what the street expected. See, December quarter is a soft quarter. The markets are expecting that the fourth quarter ending March will be a much better quarter. And I think, these labor code kind of adjustments are definitely a routine kind of adjustment, which I think the markets will digest. It's a matter of time. But I think the clear, signal is when the US-India trade deal happens, because a lot of US deals are yet stuck in the pipeline. US continues to be the biggest market, and I think we are hopeful that the Q3 numbers would be better from all the other companies like Infosys, which announces results tomorrow. Smaller companies like Coforge, or noticeable players like Persistent and KPIT. But I think net, I think we still have to see light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe another quarter, the companies may show a kind of a decent moderate performance, but for the real growth to come in, Sakshi, you'll have to wait post March numbers. So I think clearly, I think these numbers by HCL Tech have been pretty good. TCS has also given a decent performance, but I think nothing great to say that these performances could re-rate these stocks quite significantly in the near term.
Okay, the markets have shut shop, viewers, 72 points lower, 25,717. Despite all the volatility, we just managed to recover from the day's low point, but still ended about 0.3% lower in trade as far as the Nifty is concerned. On the sectors front, what we have seen is that the Nifty Bank has managed about a 0.2% of an uptick, slightly outperforming the Nifty. When we look at the broader markets, it's been a mixed picture. Small caps up into the green, but mid-caps lower. PSU banks have been the top performing sectoral index today, 0.7, 0.8% higher, followed by media stocks, IT, metals. These have been the sectors that have truly, managed to gain some strength despite all the volatility today. But infra stocks, real estate, pharma, auto, these are the sectors that have dragged. On the Nifty, ONGC, Eternal, ICICI Bank, Hindalco, these have been the names that have managed to pull up in an otherwise weak market. But we did see some weakness coming in on the Nifty from the likes of Trent, L&T, Dr. Reddy's, Indigo, and even heavyweight stocks like Reliance Industries that fell in trade today, putting the cap on the recovery that we actually saw in the market. So let's get started with some of those queries coming in from you viewers. Avinashji, we have the first query coming in from one of our viewers for you. This is Vishal Khanna from Ludhiana. And he says the government action on the 10-minute delivery, how will it really impact the QSR space? What should my strategy be on stocks like, say, Zomato, Swiggy? You were talking about it. Maybe even the QSR space, the quick service restaurants.
No, I think my guess is it's not going to impact the numbers significantly because, it will be back to business as usual. What can be 10 minutes can now become a 20-minute delivery. So, customers will get used to it. As I said, maybe the next 1 or 2 weeks, consumption patterns will take some time to readjust because wherever impulsive demand was coming, maybe that may not be serviced, at very short intervals. But in terms of financials, I think investors should not worry because clearly QSR companies, food delivery companies, are those players where a lifestyle habit has now become a very routine for such kind of customers. And I think business will continue as usual. So I think there's no need to panic. I think business will be, as usual as it was earlier. But maybe it could take a couple of weeks, and I think probably from the January to March quarter, very minimal impact could be felt on the financials.
Okay, Sambhav Jain from Delhi asked the next question. He says the action seen in the rice stocks after a long time. Is there anything that I should be adding in my portfolio? What would you advise him?
No, I think if you are a contra investor and you are willing to take a reasonable amount of risk, then I think KRBL looks to be quite decent. They are a large rice exporter, but I think, as I mentioned earlier in my opinion and view to you, as of now, it's going to be a risky trade. We don't know how this issue is going to be resolved. In the near term, there could be a little hassle, at least for the next couple of months, till unless the water settles down, because this import tariff issue has come out of the blue. It's a big negative surprise, so I think probably we'll like to wait for the companies, to come out and actually speak out, because they run the business. They would obviously be in a better position to comment as to how they're going to face this reality and reprice the product, for the export markets.
Okay, last question coming your way, Avinashji. This is from Sushmita from Indore. She says, do you think I should avoid pharma space completely till the time Donald Trump holds power in the US and has a lot of tariff-related talks to do?
No, I think frankly, pharma is one space which has not been impacted by the tariffs at all. In fact, pharma and IT are two pockets where Sakshi import tariffs are not workable at all and are not applicable. I think in the pharma space, if the market does correct, and if it gives an entry point opportunity, then I think companies like Lupin, companies like even Sun Pharma, despite the fact that they've got a large exposure on the US, they should do remarkably well, not only in the quarter 3, but even going forward over the next 12 to 15 months. So pharma is a fairly defensive space. I think nothing to worry here, at least in the near to medium term.
Nothing to worry as far as the pharma space is concerned. All right, Vinashji, thank you so much for giving us your time, helping us understand the various moving parts in the markets, and of course, giving a lot of answers and insights to all our viewers who've asked their questions to you. Good to have you, as always, to guide all our viewers. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Viewers, in case you too have any questions about your investments in mutual funds, in SIPs, in gold, or stocks-related queries, then send them to us on the number that's flashing on your screens. We'll be happy to address all those questions with our top market masters who join in on the show. And don't forget now to tune in at 9 a.m. tomorrow morning for all the market opening action with Abha Bakaya. Stay tuned for that too.